In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a DJ mix using just your laptop and DropLab. We'll look at the basics of a transition, matching song key and BPM, and nudging beat grids. You will also learn how to quickly insert a song in the middle of a mix or edit the mix while preserving transitions. I'll be sharing a few tips and tricks along the way, so make sure you stick till the end. My name is Vlad, I'm the developer and designer of DropLab, and let's get started. Okay, let's create a simple transition. To do this, I need to first create a new mix, which takes me to the mix timeline. Now, usually what you'll want to do is import your own music, and there's a quick way to do that. First, you have to make sure your music library panel is selected here. And then all you have to do is simply drag and drop from your file system right here. This will start analyzing the song, and then once it's ready, simply drag and drop anywhere on the timeline. So you can see you have two lanes. It doesn't really matter where I drop the first song. I'm just going to drag it here. To play, the simplest way to do it is to just press the space bar on your keyboard. If you want to start playing from somewhere in the middle of the song, then simply click, which places this yellow marker, and then hit space again. So you can use the marker to set the position from where you want to play, which comes in handy when you're trying to preview a certain section of the song over and over. So usually placing the marker and hitting space, making a change, and then space again, will keep playing from the same position. Next, I'm going to search for a second song and create a transition between the two. Now, before I do that, I'm just going to quickly listen to the outro of Unsplash to see what it sounds like. Now I can hear a vocal in there. There's also a guitar. So ideally, I'd want to find a song that is close harmonically to Unsplash. Now, you can just play with songs and try and see what works. Just use your ear and intuition and, just go with the vibe. You don't need to get over technical about this. But in case you want to use some guidance, then you can follow the keys that DropLab detects. In this case, Unsplash has a key of 12B, so I can come into my music library and sort by key, and then search for a song that's close harmonically. In this case, 12A is the closest, so I'm going to pick this. Again, don't need to be overly fussy about this detail. Cool, so, okay. I'm going to zoom in to see more details of the waveform. To zoom in, you have plenty of options. You can simply use the pinch gesture on your trackpad if you're on a laptop that supports it. Or you can hold the command key and scroll, which will zoom in and out. Or you can also use the scroll bar at the top of the mix, which allows you to move left and right and then zoom in and out by moving up and down. Cool, so I'm going to try to find the best match between these two songs. Now, if there's one thing you take away from this, is you should try to align the songs so that their phrases synchronize. DropLab will try to detect the structure of the song. So in this case, you can see that we have these vertical bars here, the sort of like blue tinted ones. So I'm just gonna make sure they align. So you can see there was this white line that allowed me to snap in place the two songs. To preview the transition, I'm going to select the black box, and this will automatically place the yellow marker at the beginning of the transition, and then I hit the space bar to play. That sounds pretty nice. There's one thing I'm not sure I like, which is I can hear the second song changes, plays really fast. Like, I know this song and it is really not that fast. So currently the BPM is 86, which is the BPM of Unsplash, which is indicated by this tempo marker here. What I usually want is to keep the BPM as close as possible to that of the original song. So the easiest way to do that is to select the transition, like here, and then there are these markers, these placeholders, if you want to call them like that, that will allow you to quickly create a ramp. So in this case, it's going to create a ramp that goes from the BPM of Unsplash, which is 86, to 70, which is the BPM of changes that I can see here. Let's have a listen again. Okay, that's much better. Let's take a closer look at the volume curves of this transition. And by default, DropLab will create these fade in and fade out ramps, but I can quickly try other effects. For example, the filter X sweep. This will use high pass and low pass filters, so it usually sounds more interesting. Let's check this out. Yeah, this is much better. Great, so the last thing I need to do is export my mix. I can do this by clicking Export Mix, and the rendering process will start automatically. It's usually quite quick, but obviously the longer the mix, the more it will take. And then when it's done, I can find the file in Finder as a WAV file right here. Sometimes you want to insert a song right in the middle of your mix. You want to do that without having to redo any of the transitions. You want the peace of mind that everything will stay locked. In DropLab, you can do that by enabling the push mode. So I'm going to click on the top bar and toggle on the push mode. Now, every change I make on the timeline will preserve downstream transitions. So if I slide it to the right, we can see everything moves in one block, including the tempo changes and all the transition curves. I can even move it on the top lane, which will automatically invert all the songs following it. So let's just make some room for a new song here. And I'm going to drag a new song right here. And zoom in and try to find a mix point. I think this works. So I can see the white vertical line there showing me I'm aligning phrases. And let's see what this sounds like. That's it. For some mixes, I want the transition to start a bit earlier in the song. I don't want to wait till the end. In this case, outer space lo-fi lex is a bit long and I want to keep the energy going. What I actually want is to skip this breakdown that starts from here and ends here. To do this in DropLab, I can turn on the push mode, which will make sure all the lengths of the transitions and the curves stay the same. And I can shorten my song by dragging from this bar here and then moving it until my phrases align. So I can see my beats start here, and this is where the breakdown would start. So let's play this again. That's it. In some cases, you might want to make a longer, extended version of a song. I'm going to use DropLab split, copy, and paste to chop and repeat a part of the song to make it longer. I'm going to zoom in and have a listen through its phrases. Yeah, so this is the breakdown. I quite like how this verse starts here, so I want to repeat this verse to start again a bit later in the song. So I'm going to place my marker at the beginning of this verse and then right click and split. Or I can undo and then use the shortcut, so Command E, and it will automatically split where the marker is placed. And now I need to select this clip and hit copy, so Command C, and paste it right here. So I place the marker, the yellow marker again, and then Command V to paste, and that's it. If I listen, so I've essentially extended the song by 9 bars. In fact, it's 18 bars. And you can barely notice it. Let's listen again. In fact, actually, let's just drop the bass a little bit here. So I'm going to extend my transition, remove the volume curve, select the low, and just slowly cut the bass here. Let's try again. In some cases, when you import your own music, DropLab will inaccurately detect the BPM or the beat grid of your songs. Hopefully this doesn't happen too often, but when it does, there's an easy way to fix it. I'm going to double click on the Cami Beats mix to open it, and let's quickly preview this transition. So I can hear the two songs are not in sync. Usually this happens when one is ahead of the other, or when their tempo is not correctly detected by DropLab. Let's try to find out what is the issue here. So if I zoom in closer and have a look at the waveform, I can see some strong peaks. And I can see those peaks start just ahead of the grid, of the vertical grid. Now, this means that DropLab has incorrectly detected the bit grid position. And to fix this, it's very easy. All I need to do is zoom in as close as possible. So you can see as I zoom in, at some point the vertical lines of the grid become dotted. This means the snap to grid function is off. You can also manually turn the snapping by pressing this button, this toggle here. But usually it's quicker to just zoom in as close as possible. And now every action I take on the mix, including positioning the marker, will not snap to grid. In this case, I'm going to set the grid to start here. So the way to do it is click at the beginning of the waveform peak, right click, and then set downbeat origin. That's it. As we can see, the waveform is now perfectly aligned, and if I scroll, it looks okay. But the only way to test it is to have a listen. So let's try again. Yeah, that solves it. Okay, that was quite easy to fix because DropLab correctly detected the BPM of the song. So all we had to do is just nudge the beat grid to the left or to the right, and that fixed our timing issue. However, in some cases, DropLab will incorrectly detect the BPM of the song. And to fix that, we need a slightly different approach. So let's just quickly preview this second transition. I'm going to start right from here. So again, we can hear the songs are not in sync, and it sounds similar to what we heard before, but if you actually listen in closely, there's this going in and out of sync. There's this drift. Songs are for a brief period in sync, and then they go out of sync, and then they come back again. Now, how fast this happens depends on how wrong the BPM is guessed. Like if it's really close, then it might take a while until you hear them come back in sync. But there's usually a reliable approach to fixing this tempo issue. I'm going to select to make sure the second song is selected, and here you can see the BPM that DropLab detected. To edit the BPM, I can click on this label, which will open the grid and tempo edit mode. Now you can either fix it from here, and in this case I can see some drift, but like this looks all right. So it can be quite hard to know where to start when you're trying to find the right BPM. So my preferred approach is to first make sure I find the first strong beat of a song. So I'm going to zoom in and solo this song. I can do this by just pressing the S shortcut, or right-clicking and pressing solo, so I can solo and unsolo from here. This will temporarily mute the other song, so I can just hear the song that I'm interested in fixing. So let's play from here. So let's try that again. So I can hear this is the first beat of our bar, So the phrase starts here, and this is our first beat. So we're going to use the same technique we saw before and place the downbeat origin here. This has shifted the beat grid in the right position, which allows us to sort of look ahead and see. If we have a look here, we can see the peak of the waveform is drifting out of sync with the grid. Right? Okay. And from this point onwards, I need to find the right BPM. So I can do this by selecting the edit mode here, and then if you move your cursor over the BPM label, it becomes this slider. So I can drag up and down to edit the BPM. Now, normally it moves in steps of 1 BPM, but if I hold Command, it will move at this fine precision that allows me to set any BPM. Now, usually, especially with electronic music like dance, hip hop, house music, the BPM will be a fixed whole value, so we won't have these decimals. And I can see that when it's at 113, so 113, I can see this offset here, but if I set it to 12, that I think looks all right. Yes, I think this is the right BPM. So if I press done, it's going to save it for this song clip, but I can also click on this arrow here and then save it straight into the music library, which will make sure that every time I use the song again, it will have its grid and tempo correctly set, so I don't need to do this again. So I'm going to save it to music, unsolo, and let's listen to the transition again.